Welcome back to Get Ready. I just wanted to bring this up and say that this is going to be a fantastic episode. And before we get into it, a forewarning that we did record at a Tim Hortons, and it did get kind of loud sometimes. So I hope the audio doesn't get too distorted for that, and just wanted to make sure everyone knows ahead of time. So there could be parts that might get a little loud in the actual show as we were recording, because like I said, we were at a Tim Hortons and it did get pretty loud. But my guest is a fantastic lady who is doing a lot of good promotion and talking, and I don't want to give anything away, so I will leave it all up to you to get into it and listen to the podcast. Hope you're excited for this one. But she does do a lot of great works with oils, to give you a hint. Anyways, I hope you enjoy the podcast, and then let's get right to it. All right, so Dagani Anton here at the Get Ready podcast. So we're here at Tim Hortons in London, Ontario, and I'm with
Lela George, but my Indian name is Yeyatalunyuhe, and it means she draws.
That's awesome.
Thanks. I got that name when I was 26 years old. I had to seek that out on my own.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that's not a trend. I shouldn't say that, but there's something like a lot of people seem to kind of start rediscovering, which is always a good thing.
Ever since I Don't Know More, I've noticed a huge shift.
And
during that time, I was one of the organizers for the Peace Bridge blockade. Mm-hmm. So around that time, that's when I met my partner, was around the I Don't Know More. But that's one thing I did notice, that there's a huge change when that happened. A lot of things are more noticeable. People notice us more. You know, people even came up shaking our hands. That never happened before, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, like I said, that's good.
Yeah. So I got my name at that time, and a lot of people were going to get their names at that time, and just that was something I never had. I was raised in a very strict religious home.
Yep.
So we weren't able to get our names for some reason, so we had to seek that out on our own as adults. And then when I did get my name, ironically, my boyfriend who grew up in Reserve, he got his name at the same time I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we got them together, and it was something that he never had that opportunity to get his name either. So, yeah, we were a little bit lost, but we're getting there.
Okay, yeah. Well, like everybody, right? Yeah.
We're getting there.
It's always a good thing.
Yeah.
So with that exactly, like, how did you discover about it a little more? Was it just something that kind of came across that you heard about or seen?
Well, not really. Well, kind of. It was something that was online. It was going around everywhere. But my grandmother was an activist, and I come from a line of activists, and I felt like it was just in my blood for some reason.
Yep.
And when the blockades were happening, I knew I wanted to be a part of it. I knew I wanted to be a part of fighting for our rights and fighting for the water and different things like that. So it came natural to me. And I felt like I belonged there. So as I did research of my family, I could go online and Google my grandmother, Dora Jameson, and all this stuff came up. And it really made me feel proud, because I always thought I didn't come from anything.
Yep.
Until I got older and I started to ask questions. But I had to realize that my family, like my parents, they have a story too, and they chose to keep us from, certain things. But it didn't necessarily help us either, because as we're getting older now, we're asking questions and having to figure it out for ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I haven't stopped. I did 2 blockades with the Peace Bridge, and then most recently with the water, with the pipelines. My brother, he went out there as a self-deployed as a veteran. So he went out there. I wanted to go so bad, but I couldn't, because I'm a PSW, so I had to stay and take care of things that I had to take care of here. Mm-hmm. So we got to send a family member, and that was so hard. It was scary at that time.
Yeah.
But I've just been sticking with it and just following my heart as far as activism goes. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a ride. It's been awesome. It's been an amazing journey. And we did the Colton Bushi and Tina Fontaine marches here.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to me out there. Like, I felt like I was in like a tunnel mode or tunnel vision or something. And when I look back at those videos and I could, hear myself and I could like feel my own energy, I literally had to be like, oh my gosh, that was me. I did that.
Yeah.
And I felt like my grandmother was with me. So I got home from that, and my mom messaged me. I just finished saying this to my partner, that I felt like my grandmother was with me, because the words were just coming.
Yeah.
And as soon as I said that, I get a message from my mom, who's in Florida, and she says, they're calling you Little Muriel, which is my grandmother's name. And I went, what? I said, who's calling me Little Muriel? She says, Grandma's sister. They're in Florida, and I just finished saying that. So I was just like, oh my gosh, she is with me, you know, and I just started crying.
Yeah.
So there's signs everywhere, we just have to pay attention to them.
Yeah, of course. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen some of that too. That you post a lot of not post, but you have been at some of those pipeline against Kinder Morgan, which obviously a lot of people are as well. Yeah, because it's a pretty crappy thing.
Yeah, it is, and it's closed. And people think it's happening just in the States, when really it's here too. Like, they're fighting in Vancouver. They have the tiny house warriors out there.
Yep.
And they're putting their houses in the way of the pipeline. And it's happening here. And there's a group of people from London that are allies that are setting up these meetings to come together with us against Kinder Morgan. Another thing, I'm not able to go to the one. I noticed that they had one on June 16th, but I was also asked to be the nurse for the AI's comic book.
Oh yeah.
So I'll be going to the Sailor Moon celebration and representing Nurse Hope for their comic book. I get to wear a cape and dress up as this character. And
yeah.
so I can't go to the Kinder Morgan event or meeting, so I'm kind of bummed about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There'll be more, I'm sure.
Yeah, there'll always be more at all times.
There'll be more. Yeah.
So one of the things I've noticed when I first saw, like we became friends on Facebook, was the business stuff right away that you came up with, a lot of the oils and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of that stuff, and I was like, oh, it's pretty cool, because I can't really say that I'm too big on, or I know a lot about this stuff, so that's why it's one of the biggest things I wanted to know, because I think there's a lot of people like me who don't know as much.
Yeah.
But could probably get better information from somebody who does it all the time.
Yeah.
And even like makes her own and everything. So.
Yeah. I've been doing it for over 2 years, and my son, who I gave birth to in my bed before an ambulance came by ourselves.
Yeah.
Scary. And he is actually the reason why I was introduced to the oils, because he was prescribed the wrong medication, and then he developed pneumonia in both of his lungs. So I had this amazing woman come over and say, try this kit out. And she didn't want any money for it. And I just thought, who does that? Nobody just drops something off for free to help me, to try and help me. So I used them, and I noticed right away that my son had, his symptoms were getting better. Like, he was starting to breathe better. And then just the smell that I got from it, and now I know the terms, like it hit my receptors, and then I'm like, what is that? And it made me feel good.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know more, and I knew right away that I wanted to do the business side of it. So what I advocate for is there's a lot of addictions in our communities.
Yep.
There is not only the opioids, but I mean just medication in general. There's so many side effects that come with that medication. And I realized that this is what we call our alternative medicine, when it really is our first medicine. This is what we would call Indian medicine. And somewhere down the line, we have been pushed away from that. So growing up in a Christian home, I was always told that, pagan ways, or, it's witchcraft. But I used to have to sneak to socials and things like that when I was little, right? And I didn't understand how something that smelled so good, or something that was from the earth or from our creator, how could it be such a bad thing? So I wanted to learn more. So I struggled with addiction myself, with opioids. A lot of people in my family struggle with it. And I've made it my mission to spread the awareness of these oils, because they have helped me to become clean off of opioids.
Yep.
And they have helped a lot of people that I know too. And I just want to push it into our community, where instead of us going to, well, this is my personal choice. My personal choice is to go to my oils first. Now my kids, they don't know anything but those oils. But I would like to see these oils in our communities, in the homes, because I'm cleaning with them and I'm cooking with them, and they I can honestly say that our medicines, these oils have helped to save me. So I advocate for them so passionately, because I just want people to feel that and experience that same type of healing that I have from them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I started doing my videos, and then I was so shy at first to do the videos. I was so nervous at first, and my whole life I've always felt like I've never fit in. I've never been the person to walk in that straight line with everyone. I've always been different, and now leading up to all of this, I understand why. Like I understand why I wasn't meant to fit in with everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm meant to stand out, and I'm meant to be this person that will give that light to our community members and other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I've been doing it 2 years. I went to the convention. By the second day of that convention, I raised money to go. I started on I was on Ontario Works when I started.
Yep.
And I did fundraisers, and I went to Salt Lake City. I was in tears by the second day because it was such a high vibe, happy. I raised money to go. I went by myself. It was like an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I just want everybody to feel this way. Like I want to spread it everywhere, like sugar. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it's been my passion for over 2 years, and I started to do workshops and just showing the community how to use them with even cleaning or emotional support or, different ailments and things like that. So it's been a really awesome journey so far with the oils.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, because like I said, that was the biggest thing I've noticed at the time when I first saw it, so that's why I just kind of wanted to really get more information.
Yeah.
Is there certain kinds of maybe oils that you would kind of explain upon more?
Well, these oils that I use, so there's a difference between fragrance oils that you can get at Walmart. You can go and buy a lavender, I'm sure, for $5 at Walmart. But the oils that I use is doTERRA, and they are therapeutic certified grade oils, and they're tested twice, and then they're tested a third time with a third party. So these oils are registered with Health Canada. There's some insurance companies that will cover it for people to use them. But the oils are different. So the oils in the store, if you were to take that bottle and test it, there's probably not going to be pure oil for $5. There's no laws to say that they can't put it on the shelf and still put that label on there and say pure. Same with food. Our food is a huge mess. And learning about the oils has made me, has opened my eyes to how messed up this world is. As far as food and medication and the stuff that we're putting into our bodies. So my eyes were wide open. I had this big epiphany or something, and I was I don't know what happened to me one day. I just woke up. I just saw things. I just got tired of feeling the way I was feeling, and decided to change the way I thought in the morning. And I just got tired of hurting, and I know that there's so many people that are tired of it too. They just don't know how to change it. So I'm hoping I get a lot of positive messages and encouragement. And at one point I used to be really hard on myself, and I used to tell myself that I wasn't enough, or I would second guess, things that I would do, and I was really hard on myself. And I just got tired of being that person and took charge of my life and my decisions, And to be that role model for other women and other men even has been an honor. It really has. It has opened up my life in such an amazing way, and I'm there's no turning back from here. Just straight up. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, it's just going straight from here, just going up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. Because like I said, what you're talking about with food too, that's what I've been doing for the last I've been doing it for almost close to 6 years now. Learning stuff as I went around.
Yeah.
And nutrition stuff is what I've really focused on, and that's the biggest thing I've noticed too. Because I've tried to teach cooking classes that were just more, I guess,
healthy,
natural, more healthy, and kind of utilizing seasonal foods, and kind of just learned about nutrition, just telling people eat more of this, eat more of that, kind of a thing. And it's hard.
Because even on a reserve, we don't even have a grocery store where you can buy fresh produce. That's a huge problem. Why don't we have those things? Why is it that there's a lot of unhealthy people because they're eating canned goods and they're eating fast food and French fries and fried bread. Fried bread is not a traditional food.
Yep.
It's a staple food. It's all we our ancestors got a bag of flour to, provide for them for the month, and they had to make something with it. So we have totally lost so much, and even with the language, I started doing language videos because I realized when I started on my healing journey, that culture and language was what was making me feel whole.
Yep.
And I always wish that I could stand in the line and turn and say, I want a coffee. Do you want a coffee? And in the language. You know, something simple as that. And now, you know, I have a teacher, GetRready, and he's from Six Nations. And then I also learned from Alfred from Oneida. So I have 2 teachers that are teaching me right now, and I'm very lucky to have that,
Yep.
Oneida and Mohawk. So I know that there's other people that want to learn and that are afraid to learn too, or us to actually say it without feeling like they're doing something wrong, you know? So I put myself out there on the videos and just share a word of the day. Yes, I'm screwing up too, guys, and I'm not saying this right either, but you know, it's okay. That's how we're gonna learn. That's how we're gonna learn.
Yeah, that's still true. There's a lot of people who feel that way. I know I felt that way for a while. I mean, I grew up learning the language because I went to Jinkwalihoda, where it was just focused on the culture.
Wow.
But even myself, even now as an older man, I still feel like I'm not saying it right. And that's because I'm not saying anyone is shaming anybody, but there are people, you get several different teachers and several different things. So what I've learned, and even my dad told me, was stick to one teacher and then just keep speaking anyways.
Yeah.
And who cares if you're not saying it right? Because eventually you will. But at the time, you know, you're just going to have to keep saying it. And I was like, that's right. So I do have somebody in mind in Oneida as well, that I'd like to go to more. Because I know there are several people who are teaching it in Oneida. And I remember like Lodan, Alfred, Dakota, Ireland, like all these people are teachers as well. So like there's several to choose from.
There is, and we're lucky to have that opportunity. We're so lucky. Like that was my favorite subject in school, was art and language. Those are my 2 favorites. They still are. It's so fun, and like I have this vision of my children speaking fluently, and I was running out of words to teach them, and so I wanted to learn more, because when it's not about us anymore, it's about our babies. Like that's the future right there. And I didn't understand what they meant by the 7th generation is going to be the change. We are, even my dad's staying with me, and I just moved him in. He's got a tumor that's growing in his stomach that's going to grow until it can't grow anymore. So I'm a personal support worker too, and I've been a personal support worker for over 11 years now.
Oh yeah.
So I moved him in, and that's what he was saying, like to see him open up and talk about like his childhood and like things that he had and didn't have. It's so crazy to hear their stories, to actually hear them talk about it. And with the language, like I'm trying to talk to him, and like, because I do at home and say my words and stuff, and it's so new to him too, but he has a hard time actually saying it, and it's because they were shushed.
Yep.
They were shushed, they were told to be quiet. He even told me that my grandfather's, he had scars on his back from residential schools and on his bum from being whipped. And I never heard those stories before. And now to see my dad talk about it is like proof to me, like, oh my gosh, there is this massive change that's happening right now. Not everybody's going to be a part of it.
No.
Not everybody's going to see it.
No.
And not everybody's going to make it out like that. This is the way society has molded us to be. Like, people are so stuck. They're so stuck in it. It's crazy to see when you're actually like wake up and realize your surroundings. This world is a scary place. It is so scary.
No, it is.
Yeah.
Like I know what you mean about all that, because there's so many people now that are coming forward with residential schools and even just telling their story. Like, I know it's kind of a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Because I went with my mom to it's downtown on I'm pretty sure it's on Richmond. There's a school near there, and they had that museum. I went to that, and that was the opening. And when that place was there, my mom didn't go to residential school, but her mom did. So my grandma went, and you could see the effects of residential school. Like, for the longest time, my grandma never hugged.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, they don't hug.
They don't say I love you. Even if I say I love you to my dad now, like, he just says, yeah, I know he loves me, and I know he wants to say it, and he can type it, but he can't physically say I love you. And it took me a long time to understand why they were like that, and to understand that they had that story too. Because for a long time, I resented my parents, like for years, for culture and lack of culture, and some even like my dad. He was very very. My friends would never come over growing up because they said my dad was too scary. Like he was too scary. But he isn't. He's a big teddy bear, He would walk around and he would, sing and like just sing walking around the house, and he would play his guitar, but he intimidated people. But to have my dad home now and to listen to him tell me stories like of him understanding Ojibwe because his mom is Ojibwe,
Yep.
and his grandmother used to speak fluent Ojibwe, and I didn't hear my dad even speak about being Ojibwe. It was either you had to be Haudenosaunee or you had to be Ojibwe. Like there was no in between, right?
Oh yeah.
So I never heard of him talk about that before. And one thing I love to do too is talk. I love talking. I was on a radio show with Western, and I really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
And then I was invited to do another podcast after this with Turo, I believe. Turo.
Oh, okay.
Nanda Garlo. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that too. So, yeah.
That's sweet though, yeah. Because you get to get out there more and talk about these things. And like I said, what you're talking about is stuff that needs to be constantly brought up, because I know there's people who know somebody or actually did go to resident school and they won't talk about it.
Right.
And I think that's probably the worst thing we can do, because then we forget, right? And then we live in that cycle of it repeating constantly. Everything that we're doing what they're doing to their kids, they'll repeat, just go in a circle. So it's like the better that we know about it, and we can keep talking about it. That way we understand not to do it again and repeat our mistakes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this should be said to Canada more than anything, but...
I know, and like I hear people say it happened so long ago, and it's not. Like, I am going to write a book one day, and my dad says he's going to write a book, and we're going to call it The Ripple Effect. Because we are.
Yeah.
We totally are the ripple effect of residential schools. I see it in my dad, I see it in me, I see it in my brothers and sisters, and my mom, and I take care of this another lady. She's 88 years old, and she's a residential school survivor, and I've been taking care of her for over 2 years, private care. And she's so sweet, and she talks really quiet, and I speak Oneida to her, and sometimes I mix my Oneida with my Mohawk, and she laughs at me, but she's very quiet. And even some of the caregivers that come in, that don't know what it's like to be a survivor.
Yeah.
Even just something as simple as closing the cupboard loud will scare them, and people don't understand that, and those things still trickle into the children, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like we are the ripple effect of residential schools, and we are part of that. We're part of that change.
Yeah, because like I said, it's just something that's going to have to slowly come over, and it'll go.
Yeah.
Because there's people, that I talk to now as well, that they have stories exactly the same, where they didn't go, but their parents, either their grandparents or their parents, like my partner Ashley, her mom went.
Yeah.
And so there's those effects, right, that would go to her, but
and
she's stopping it.
You just got engaged too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did actually.
You did.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
saw that. Cool. Yeah. Just click. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, Ashley, you're engaged now. Congratulations, Ashley. That's awesome. But yeah, it's I'm really thankful you asked me to come out to do this today. I'm very excited. Very excited. I posted my selfie on Facebook. It's my podcast look. You're just laughing at me. But yeah, I've become very open, because exactly like you said, with things that we don't talk about, especially with addictions. And I was on Oneida yesterday, and they had that information session for the methadone and Suboxone, because there's no programs on our reserve that will help even the transportation part of getting people to and from these programs that are offered, right? So I was there at the community center for a birthday party. I didn't go to the information session, but I went in and got a naloxone kit that will help save a life just in case.
Yep.
So, but it felt good to be able, they asked that question, are you an opioid user? No. Do you know somebody that is an opioid user? Yes, so I came home, I was like, I got one, and you never know because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's scary. And like to have our kids growing up now too, like me and my partner have 7 kids together. Well, they're not all of ours. Like he has 2 from a previous relationship, and then I have 5 in total. So our oldest are 14, and I am gonna be like in so much shit with my kids because I was so bad when I was little. Like they're gonna give me a run for my money, I think. But I realized as a mom, I have to be a mother and not their friend, and it's so hard to like discipline my kids because we just feel bad because of what we had or didn't have. Like my partner is such a pushover, and he'll admit it because he never had a dad. He didn't have a dad in his life whatsoever. So a grandpa maybe, but that's it. So he doesn't know how to be that masculine father. So anytime he tries to discipline, it's real soft, and there's no backbone in it. But he's learning. We're learning, and it's definitely a learning journey being a parent. But I'm definitely scared shitless of like future.
Oh, as they get older,
As
right?
they get older, yes, and like boys, and I hope that we can keep them in a place where they don't have to go and try alcohol or drugs, or put them in programs. I think like programs are like key to, or workshops. Like one thing I did when I was feeling lost was participated in workshops. Any workshop that I could participate, I was totally there. And I loved it. I was learning, I was making stuff, and that's what kept me out of trouble, was those workshops.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why now I do workshops. And when I'm doing my workshops, I open up and tell my story. Like, yes, I was a runaway at 14. I was on the streets by 16. I was on drugs by 16. I was an alcoholic by 16. I was in a toxic relationship for 13 years, and I literally ran away from my ex-husband like I was a kid because that's what I knew.
Yeah.
But because I wanted out. So I share my story when it comes to that and toxic relationships, because you can't have a relationship if you don't have a relationship with yourself, right? First, and the creator.
Yep.
It's you and the creator, whether you believe in God or Buddha or whatever the case may be. We have one creator, one creation story, and that's what I believe. So my workshops have given me that door to reach out to people that are going through those similar things that I did.
Yeah.
And that's how I've been kind of connecting with community, because I'm the type of person that is friends with everybody. Like, I don't like conflict or confrontation. If you don't like this person, that's okay. Like, I like both of you. You can keep your stuff there, you keep your stuff there, but I love you anyway. That's how I am. And I wish that our community could be
more like that,
more
right?
like that,
yeah,
and more supportive,
and more open to help each other, and more to talk to each other instead of because there is a lot of nonsense like that where it is very just you're friends with him, so I'm not gonna like you either. I don't know you, but I'm not gonna like you, kind of a thing. And then they constantly will pick and choose who they want to hang out with. And then I don't know what that means when somebody doesn't really like somebody, but they still hang out with them anyway. Like, I don't know what that means, but I'm just like, it's so curious.
It is, and I just kept to myself, and I didn't understand. Like, when I came back around, I had, some friends that I had from when I was little that aren't walking the best path at the time. So I was judged for that, but at the same time, like, they're my friends, and like, I've known them since I was a little girl. Like, I can't say I still love them, you know what I mean? I know that they're on their own path, but people judged me for that, and I didn't understand why people didn't like me. You know what I mean? And I stressed over it, but then again, I didn't. Because even my boyfriend was like, who cares what people think? You know what I mean? You know what you're doing. You know what path you're on. You know what's right and you know what's wrong. But I still didn't understand why we have such a community that when somebody's doing so good or doing good things, why they have to be bitter about it. Because the way I see it is, if one of us make it, we all make it.
Yeah.
If one of us is doing good, we're all doing good. Like, we should be rooting each other on and proud of each other. And if that person is struggling and they're, struggling with something that they want to do, but they're not making it at that time, then reach out your hand and pull them back up. You know what I mean? That's how it should be. So I just put myself out there, even with Longhouse. You know, I didn't know my family. There was reasons for that. I had to talk with my dad about why we just didn't know who my Oneida family was.
Yeah.
Turns out it's one of the biggest Oneida families, one of the first ones that came over from the States and settled. And I got cousins everywhere, like everywhere, you know. So I was like telling my dad that I thought I had no roots. I thought I came from nothing. Like, meanwhile, my great aunt was the Wolf clan mother in Six Nations, but they didn't tell us those things because we were Christian. And so now all of this stuff is coming up now, and it is just like a culture slap, I want to say, because it's just like, whoa, I am somebody. I do come from something. I do have family in Oneida, and yes, that is my cousin. That's my cousin. That's my cousin. Whoa, you know.
Yeah.
So for the parents that are keeping information from their kids based on things that they went through, it's not helping. It's making us lost. It's making us like trying to figure out where we're coming from, and we're finding out like we're beside family all along. Like, it's not helping, and I'm glad that I still have my dad to explain more of it right now, because I feel like we're running out of time. Yeah. Told you I can talk.
No, it's good though, because like I said, the podcast ranges.
Oh yeah.
There's people where I have to whoop.
Really?
I have to talk more than anything, but I can say I run a podcast. I'm a kind of guy that enjoys listening to people.
Yeah.
Like I like just sitting there and listening to people.
Yeah.
So like hearing you tell all this is just great for me. Like I just love listening to it.
It's one thing I had to learn too, is learn how to listen. I definitely had to learn how to listen. And then another thing I realized on my journey was with Facebook and online, how everybody has this relationship with people online, but when you see that person in person, it's not the same.
No.
Like it's so weird, isn't it? Like they're just, or they turn their head, and then I realized like, oh my gosh, I am very sociable online, but when it comes to relationships, like physical relationships, I was scared of those. I was scared of that physical interaction or something. So I started to put myself out there more, and I realized that I had no friends here. Like I moved back from Niagara Falls. So when I was 11 years old or so, we moved. My parents separated from Oneida, and I stayed behind with my dad. My mom left, and then my parents were going through some stuff at that time, and he had to take me back to my mom's. And so that's how we ended up that way. So I came full circle. I met my boyfriend online on our own through Facebook. And coming back around, I just had like old friends from when I was little. And I had to really take a step back and take a really good look at my 5-year plan.
Yeah.
Like, where do I want to be in 5 years? Am I going to be a positive impact on the community? I'm from the community, but I'm new. I'm new again, I guess. Am I going to be a positive, or am I going to be negative? Am I going to be somebody that's going to be a drunk and on drugs and causing trouble everywhere I go? Or am I going to use, my story to help the community or be that positive person? So I chose positive person. And during that process, I realized I didn't have friends or positive relationships in my life. And slowly, it happened. Like I have amazing people in my life right now. My friend just donated a bed to my dad, you know what I mean, the day that he came. And I noticed those things, and I'm so thankful for those things, because really around here, like I have a lot of cousins and family, but I don't, because I don't really know them personally. So it's just me and my kids, and it was very lonely. That was very lonely, but we can change that. Like, it made me learn that no matter what the situation is, you're in control of it, and it's all about choice, good or bad. And then my mind was negative, it's always negative, waking up in the morning negative. I realized that. That's why I use my oils in the morning. I put the diffuser on, and citrus oils helps to uplift you.
Yep.
So like lavender for sleep. If I'm having trouble sleeping, I'll use lavender. So I just started to rewire my brain into like our belief systems. We have our belief systems that are already set in our brains, and a lot of people have a hard time even changing that. And I realized I had to change this whole, rewire my brain, how I'm waking up in the morning. And that's just what I did. I just started doing the opposite of what I normally do. And it's working for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how you bring that up about like taking the oils, because when I would get up in the morning, I have a routine as well that I follow, which is like usually drinking like lemon water, but then I also have apple cider vinegar, like a veggie green mix, a phytoberry mix, and I'll mix it all together and drink that, and that's just to flush the system and activate everything as usual. But then I also go through like fish oils, like I'll do all these extra things just to kind of, and it just helps me get through the entire day easy, and everything just goes by faster. Of course, sleep, I always advocate sleep to tell everybody that's the most important thing to do.
It is.
Yeah, like getting less than 7, you're basically screwing yourself over. But like 7, 8, 9, stop at 9.
Me, I wake up early now. Like every day, no matter how late I'm up at night, I'm up early in the morning. No matter, I set my alarm, like I'll wake up before the alarm. And I just started waking up too, like just saying that I'm thankful for everything, and smudging in the morning, and I'm thankful, like I trust the process. It's like I trust this process. And one of the things in my business that stuck with me was trust, what is it? Marry the process, not the result, or something like that. I think it goes like that. But we're always trying to get to an end result.
Yeah.
We don't want to get to that end result, because when we get to that end, we're going to be dead. You know what I mean? That's the end. You know what I mean? So there's a process with everything in life. So I'm trusting that process and learning to live in the moment and not think too far ahead of myself or too far back.
Yeah, I think that's the issue too. I met a lot of people like that will think too far back or think too far in the future. And I just recently, I hope anyways, resetted myself, because I used to be that way all the time. I used to be like, instead of living in today, especially with work and everything, I used to be thinking 2 weeks ahead. What am I going to do there? What am I going to do there? Because I've been doing a lot of catering, and I think about those catering jobs that are 2 weeks ahead, 3 weeks ahead, and I don't know why I'm thinking about them so early.
Just like, worrying.
Just worrying. That's it. Like it's like I'm prepping for them, but then I get worried. Like, what if I don't have enough? What if I don't have enough? What if I miss this? And it's not even close to the day. So I'm just killing myself through the day, like, and it's still like weeks away, and I'm like, what if I don't do it right?
Right, and you just worry. And one thing I do, it's funny that you're bringing up catering, because that's like my private passion. Is cooking. I love cooking. I've been cooking since I was a little kid. My mother's line, Wolf Clan from Six Nations, they were all cookers, and had a grocery store out there. So my boyfriend, he says, how do you know? Like, how do you know how to do this? Because I can make something out of nothing. And I was just, I don't know. It's just, I've always known how to cook. And I wanted to be a chef, but I experienced the chef life a little bit, and I was like, no, I'll just keep that for home. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not I love being a chef, but I never want to work at a restaurant. Like, I never want to work places like this. Like, I'd rather do my own thing. Where I used to work at the long-term care home in Oneida, and I did that for 5 years before I left, and it was rewarding because it was feeding people who couldn't feed themselves. That's the most joyous part about it, is helping people. So like elders, or if I could work at a daycare, if I could work like at a hospital, someplace where I know when I'm cooking, people are going to enjoy it, because they can't cook for themselves on a regular basis. But to cook in a restaurant where some guy is going to complain to me that his steak is like
chef,
3 seconds.
Chef. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, it's just like, no, I can't do that.
That's what I told my boyfriend, Jordan. I was like, if I'm going to be working in the food industry, it's going to be my own business, and I will be making my own food, and people will be saying, yes, chef, to me. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, one thing I learned too, I think this is from being in a very toxic, I was in a really toxic relationship for a really long time, and I met him when I was only 16, and I was such a rebellious kid that I didn't want to go home and tell my parents, like, okay, you guys were right, and I can't do this on my own, or so I did my own thing as a kid.
Yep.
And I was in a group home at 14, and I lived there until I was about 16 years old. So just being in that toxic environment and being free from that, I kind of forget where I was going with this, but I know that being free from, that's where I was going, okay. So I didn't know that I had that decision for myself. Like, I didn't know that I was in charge of my life for some reason. So I always was looking for permission with my husband, my ex-husband now. I was always looking for that permission. I was always looking for somebody to tell me yes or no. And I lived like that for a really long time. And then when, things got really bad, I was drinking every day. I was, really unhappy. We were fighting all the time. And I became an alcoholic in my home, and I began to be so unhappy that I started to have suicidal thoughts. And I knew that I was either going to, I was visualizing it, how I wanted to do it. I tried to, I think twice, but I couldn't because I had my kids, and that was a really, really hard time for me. But I realized at that moment that I was giving all of my control to someone over my life. And when I ran from that, I was how old was I? 25, 26. This was in like 2010 in October. So I ran from it like I was a little kid. And it was that moment when I realized, when I ran in my 20s, where I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm a 14 again, like I'm running away like a 14-year-old again. And I at that moment, I was like, I'm not going to run anymore. And I started to go to socials. I was hitching rides to Six Nations from Fort Erie just to go to a social, not even knowing how I was going to get home. But I knew I needed that medicine. And I knew how I felt when I got there. And I knew that I was going to, it would work out for some reason. And I always made it home, and I was always safe. And somebody always made sure that I was okay, or I was fed, or, like I was taken care of. But when I started to experience that goodness and that goodness with our culture, I couldn't turn back. There was no turning back for me to go back to where I came from. And then it made me wonder, like, why was I kept from this for so long, and why was it so bad for me to participate? And now that I've been walking that path, my family's following in my footsteps. My brother's now going to ceremony.
Nice.
My sister is now asking questions too, and she came with me to ceremony or social. So I know that I'm on this path for a reason, to be able to lead my family too into a different and better direction. Because we're always like telling ourselves that we're wrong and like condemning ourselves, like no, I have nothing against the being Christian or God, or like I even went to church with my dad when I was in Florida. We went to a Bible study.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't gone into a church in years and years. So we were asked to go, and I was like, sure, why not? Like I do it all the time, right?
Oh yeah.
So, and it came time to go to this Bible study, and I wanted to go with my dad. If it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't have went.
Yep.
So he hasn't gone in a long time either. So it was awesome. I'm glad I did it. And to have that open mind and not be all judgmental about it, and just, if it's going to help him, then I'm going to support him with that. And that's how we should be, even with people, there's people that go to Longhouse, that go to Longhouse and church, but yet people judge them for it. I don't get it. Like, I don't get how someone can judge somebody else's journey. If it's working for them, then let it work. Why judge them, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing too I saw before was, did you used to go to a lot of powwows?
Yeah.
Now, were you also a dancer?
I started off traditional dancing.
Yeah.
For me, so I had my coming out, and Red and Mary they're from Six, or Red is from Six, Jameson, and he helped me they did tobacco ties, and they helped me with that. That was like the beginning of my journey of my, I'm not traditional. I don't call myself, I don't believe that there is really, that's a label. Really none of us are traditional. If we were traditional, we'd be living in a longhouse somewhere. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be dressed in regular clothing. We'd be speaking our language, and so I think that's just a label. So I started off as a traditional dancing, but one thing that I realized that it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Only because I wasn't doing it for competition. I wasn't doing it to win money, and it just, for me, I hope nobody gets offended. I'm sorry. But it was just like a money grab to me. Like it was just more, it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't like ceremony at Longhouse. It was a show. That was my experience with it. But I loved like the traditional powwows, and at that time, it wasn't what I needed, because I just felt like it was, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's different for everybody, though. That it wasn't what I needed at that time, and but the powwow family and people that I met were really awesome, and so I kind of put it aside for now.
Yep.
But I had a dream that I was standing outside the powwow circle, and I opened up this chest, and I could pick out anything I wanted in this chest. There was a fancy shawl, there was a jingle dress, and I was allowed to pick anything. And I saw that as like a message that I can be anything I want in life. Like I can be anything I want. And I listened to those dreams. So I haven't been on the powwow trail lately, but I do want to get my daughter out there. She loves dancing. And I just went more of the ceremony and Haudenosaunee route. That's what worked for me. Yeah.
Yeah, because what I've noticed too is on the East Coast, powwows are treated more like medicine out there. When me and Ashley went out to Kamloops powwow,
Yeah.
we actually experienced them doing a medicine right in the middle of the powwow on people and their families.
Really?
Yeah, they were doing it right there.
Wow.
Because I didn't know what was happening, because we were sitting and all of a sudden everything started moving.
Yeah.
Everything started moving out of the way, and the dancers and everybody were coming towards a family. And the family just lost, I think, a child.
Oh my goodness.
So everybody was going to that, and it's like well known out there how they do it. So that's what everybody was doing. So it was really a different experience to compare to the West Coast.
Yeah.
You know how powwows are.
Yeah.
So the East Coast out there, they treat it more like a medicine when they need to. I mean, we still do it out. They still do it out here, because I was where were we? Ottawa. There, that's a traditional powwow near Quebec or Montreal?
I like the traditional ones way better than the competition.
Yeah, because they were doing jingle dress, the medicine for that. They were doing that for people out there, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, it's nice to see that they still do it, but it was just a completely different feel out in the East Coast, just in that one powwow, to see how they do that.
Maybe it was just the ones like that I was going to, but I feel like certain ones, it's like it's being lost. Like the real reason why powwows are done, I feel like it's, especially like the July one in Six Nations, it's huge, and I would go there every year. But it's a different feel for me to go to a traditional powwow than it is for a competition.
Yeah.
So this competition wasn't for me. I was looking for healing and looking for tools and things that would help me with that. But I'm like, my boyfriend's a grass dancer and he wants to get back out there too. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, competition and things like that. But for me, I always wanted to be a powwow dancer. I loved the fancy and jingle, like I wanted to learn how to do jingle.
Yep.
But I just see it as it wasn't what I needed at that moment, so that's why I moved on from it. And I know that I'm gonna, get back into dancing and things. I'm waiting for it to come back into my life when the time is right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention too was Brittany LeBourne from the Mohawk Girls.
Yeah.
She has a magazine, an online magazine called Working It Out Together mag.com, and it is a addition to a show from APTN called Working It Out Together. And the show's not aired anymore, but they have the magazine that's continued.
Okay, yeah, it just keeps going on.
Yeah, so she did her first issue, and I was featured in it.
Oh, nice.
Along with Lisa Hill, who's with Mox and Walk. She does the yoga and things in Oneida.
Yep.
So they told my story. I was able to tell some of my story, a lot of my story in that article. And the article title is "Leaning on the Past to Find Ourselves in the Future," and that just says it in itself. So I was able to tell a lot of my story in that article, and it explains a lot more about me. There's so much that I could talk about. Like I've been through a lot, but I've also come out of a lot. Like gotten back up through it all, I guess. But even just being a runaway, like even with the Tina Fontaine, people ask me, why are you so passionate about Tina Fontaine? So, well, that girl used to be me.
Yeah.
She used to be me, and it could have been me. You know, she was a runaway, or I could just picture it. I could picture me being 14, 15 years old, thinking, you know, going and drinking with some older guys, or, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it hit me hard because it was like, oh my gosh, that was me, and people are judging this young girl for, you know, even after her death, judging her because she was drinking. And so I stood up and told my story, like, you know, I was a runaway. I used to drink like that. I used to, you know, be promiscuous and just go with, you know, people I didn't even know, like just because I was too stubborn to go home and face my parents, you know, and, you know, there were things that were happening, you know, with my parents and their separation at that time too. So I was just mad because I left the reserve and I was running because I was pissed. Like I didn't ask to leave my home. So so I saw her as she is me, and she is my daughter, and she is my mom, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, because there's so many young girls that are in the system and not in the system that are walking and living that scary life right now.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of daughters, so like I said, I'm so in for it. So in for it.
So there's a part of the podcast that I'm starting to do recently where I know you've already mentioned the magazine just now, but is there something else maybe you could recommend to people to check out, to look into, that they wouldn't otherwise find on a normal basis? So that could be music, movies, books, like an article, something you just even mentioned, or like even like a store to go to, or something, anything like that whatsoever. Something you love to do or you're passionate about, or anything that maybe somebody else might find.
Well, I have, with my oils, there's a summit going on at Doubletree tomorrow. For the oils, just explain, they do a teaching on the oils, it was all Lux Loons, when we first started. And now we're walking in there with a whole bunch of beautiful brown women. And, you know, it's an amazing feeling to have our community walk in there together. So there's a team, I have a team that are doing this work in the community with the oils. I have a group called Red Road Essentials, and I post there daily about oils. And the summit is, when is it? The 17th, and I believe it starts at 7. I also have my oil site is www.mydoterra/redroadessentials, and that's all one word. So they can check me out there. I'm also on a Buy Native. My friend just started this Buy Native site, and she's adding me to her thing too. And I believe it's on Facebook. It's a page called Buy Native.
And it's just everything just native related.
Yeah. Different people that are selling powwow stuff or the oils, and I'm glad that she chose me, because I'm not the only one that's, you know, walking this path with the oils. So I'm really thankful that people are thinking of me to add to their sites and things like that.
Well, this isn't a knock towards you or anybody that does oils, because I don't know, but even in like food and nutrition, you can tell somebody's work and how passionate they really are. Like when you kind of like talk to them and see about it. Like this is a podcast to talk about anybody I meet. But literally when I talk to people about food and nutrition, that's something I could go on for hours about. Like just constantly giving out, not trying to give out tips, but just talking about what a certain food does, what a certain food can do for you, how if you eat this with this, it'll pair it to be a better immune system. You get better sleep if you eat these things. It's just...
Well, food is medicine. That's what people don't realize. Like, it took me a long time to understand what the heck that meant. Like, food is medicine. What do you mean? Everything that we put into our body, it nourishes our body, right?
Yep.
Everything. So if we're drinking pop every day, we're getting all that sugar. Sugar's like a cancer-causing, thing. Like, it's all this bad stuff that we're putting into our bodies. And with Diane Hill, she taught me how to do this, kind of off topic with the food, but she taught us how to listen to our hearts rather than our minds. So she called our minds like the monkey mind. And she talks about things that we're putting into our body too, and even like spiritual things, or activities, or all of those. It's all medicine too. But people are wondering why everyone's getting so sick, but yet their diets are so bad, and there's alterations and things that are causing cancer too. Like, cancer's everywhere. It's everywhere. I'm so tired of seeing my family like all sick. I know at least 7 people that have cancer right now. At least.
Yeah.
And I think more than half of those are my family. It's crazy, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the problem. Like I said, that is a big issue that's coming up, and everybody needs to understand. The biggest thing I tell people is what you're eating now may not affect you today, tomorrow, or next week, but even 10, 20 years down the road, you're going to get hit by something. And that's just how food works. Nutrition can last in your body for a long time, and it sits there and it'll stay there.
Yeah.
That's why there's people who, I feel fine eating, they're drinking 2 liters of pops every week, but then when they're 40 years old, they're going blind, they're losing feeling, and then they're pre-diabetic, and then they're full diabetic, and they're type 2 diabetic.
Yeah.
And it only takes like a couple of moments for it to happen because your immune system just broke down. Everything can't hold nothing back anymore. So.
Oh man, yeah, that's what I realized too. I saw in some people that I know that aren't that much older than me, that they were aging in their face. Like, when I see someone, I can tell whether or not they're like using, I don't know what they're using, but you can see it, right? If you are in a good place yourself, you can tell. So I realized, like, oh my gosh, this person's only a few years older than me. Is that what I'm going to look like in a couple of years? Rubbing my face like, oh my God, wrinkles all over, But it scared me because it made me realize that person's not taking care of themselves. That's the result of them not taking care of themselves. Even with drinking water. That's a whole nother thing, our water. Like, our water from the tap is chlorine and stuff in it that's not, like, it's treated, but we're still drinking it. We're still putting chlorine into our bodies. It's not good for us.
Yep.
This world, it's just so fucked up. It just makes me, like, my head spin,
Yeah, it's definitely like I said, it's definitely a thing that people need to understand more.
Yeah.
And I've spoken about it before, but I tell a lot of people that when I was growing up, I never liked to hear about cancer, diabetes, or getting sick or anything, because it was always scary, right? It's scary, especially when you're a child.
Or not me, it doesn't involve me, type of thing.
Yeah.
It's an issue that it's there, but it don't involve me, so I just won't look that way.
So, but like now, because I'm learning more nutrition stuff, that's all they ever bring up is this can lead to cancer, this can lead to cancer. And then you find out how many different types of cancer there are, and what could cause them, what can't cause them, and you're just like, okay, well, it's better to learn than not. Like,
to be aware, and
because
it is going to happen. Like, honestly, I can say there's a 80% chance that either I'll get cancer or somebody I know will have cancer.
Yep.
So even though we believe it's not affecting us, it is, because we either know somebody that has it or we know somebody that's passed.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I'm totally with you on that one.
It's a scary thing.
It is. It's totally. And then, so I just started to be more conscious of my choices, what I'm putting into my body, what I'm holding on to as far as energy with other people's crap, because I take on other people's stuff, sometimes, and I have to like not do that. And I can also fall back into being very negative because that's what I've come from, is a negative environment. And I don't know what made me realize I came from that, but I can notice now when I'm starting to seep into that habit of being negative and negative in the mind. So my advice, what I do, is that there's always a positive. No matter what it is, even if it's a negative, even if it's a horrible negative, there's always going to be a positive in that negative. So instead of us focusing on those negative things, we have to think about our solution and not the problem. That's how my video the other day, I was so happy because I had gone to Florida for a week, procrastinated taking care of some stuff that I didn't take care of.
Yep.
Come home to this big pile of shit, pretty much. And my red card, I had a red card for hydro, and I had stuff to hand in for housing, and just, regular stuff. So instead of me dwelling on it and thinking, oh my God, my hydro's gonna get shut off, and what am I gonna do? All these negative thoughts. I was like, solution, not the problem. Tony Cornelius told me. He's a drug and alcohol counselor, also my boyfriend's grandfather. And I would go and sit with him at work and talk to him, and that's what he would say. You have to think about the solution, not the problem. And a lot of the counselors these days, instead of focusing on the solution, they're just talking about the problem with you and bringing up the problem all the time, rather than thinking about a solution. So yes, that did happen, but what's the solution, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do when making my decisions. Is there's always a solution, and as long as you can think in that positive way, you're always going to have a positive outcome. And even if you have a negative outcome, there's a reason for it. Find the positive and keep going.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with that, I think that's a good note to go out on, because I love the idea of that. Taking everything, even the negatives, turn into a positive in any way you can. So it's awesome to know. So,
yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, so like I said, it's awesome to have you on.
Awesome.
And I can tell, honestly, though, that there could be more. But our time. But unfortunately, the time is short right now.
I can talk and talk and talk. You can have me back on anytime.
Yeah, like I said, it'd be awesome to have you back on.
Awesome.
All right, so.
Nagitwa.
Yeah, Nagitwa.
Of course, it was going to be a good episode, and it turned out really great. I'm sorry for the noise of any kind. If you heard anything, we were at a Tim Hortons, so once again, I apologize for if there's any loud noise or anything in the background. But we just happen to be at the busiest Tim Hortons all of London. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. And if you're looking for any catering needs, all you have to do is go to GetReady Catering. Just drop an email at getready@gmail.com. GetReady with 2 R's at gmail.com. And then send me your ideas or whatever you want for catering, and I will gladly help you out. Or give me a call or text at 226-998-7787. That's 226-998-7787. And then give me a call or drop me a text. And also, you can go to either one of those, the phone number or text or email, if you want to be on the show. And you got a great idea. If you got something to promote or you just want to come on and say hello, we can do that as well. All right, everybody? I will see you all next time. Bye.